Terence Crawford is set to face back from Bakhram Murtazaliev after he shocked the world by beating Tszyu this past weekend.
Будет это Чарло, будет это Крофорд, будет это Фундора, Спенс. Не имеет никакого значения. Приоритет это пояса. Если нету поясов.
Fans want to know if Terence Crawford will be interested in meeting IBF junior middleweight champion Murtazaliev in a unification fight following his third-round obliteration of Tszyu. Crawford holds the WBA 154-pound title that he recently won against Israel Madrimov, and he's planned on fighting WBC WBO champion Sebastian Fondor. That fight fell off when the WBO permitted Fondor to make a free defense against Errol Spence, etc. Keith Thurman questioned whether Terence Crawford would want to face IBF junior middleweight champion Bakhram Murtazaliev. He stated there's no proof that he won't be avoided again. The only good thing he has is he has a title, so because he has a title, he can easily stay busy fighting people in the ranks with the IBF, and dominating, furthering his fan base, and further showing us what he brings to the 154 division. But does Bud want Bakhram? Does Bud take that fight? Thurman suggests that Terence Crawford is likely to stay clear of Murtazaliev after his stunning victory over Tszyu. He stresses that while Murtazaliev is focused on defending his IBF title, Crawford may be hesitant to take on such a formidable opponent right now. Thurman notes that Murtazaliev's recent performance has generated major excitement in the division, but it also puts pressure on top fighters like Crawford to consider their next moves carefully. Keith further added, "Who really wants it and takes it and says, that's my next opponent? Does Bam stay in his IBF lane while protecting his title? He says he has to stay in his lane until another door opens up to do another great fight in this division in the world of boxing, but right now he's got a lot of us excited coming to the big upset backroom pulled up against the favorite, Tszyu." The Australian says that he didn't know what he got hit with.
What did I get hit with? And couldn't regroup, and I don't know, man.
Murtazaliev knocked the former WBO 154 PB champion Tszyu originally with a left hook during an exchange in round 2. That was where things fell apart for the 29-year-old Tszyu because he never recovered from that shot. What chance Tszyu had of coming back, he threw it away by going on the attack and trying to slug with Murtazaliev. When telling what happened, said he got caught with a punch and couldn't recover from it. He kept getting up, but it wasn't going to work. Tim said, "What just happened? What did I get hit with? I have to regroup, and I don't know, man. It doesn't go your way, and you have to bounce back." I was positive after Fondor, but I've got to find some answers after this. It didn't go to script. I felt unbelievable. He got me. He was the better man on the night we lived, and we learned. Tszyu aimed to recover from his split decision loss to Sebastian Fondor in March, but faced a harsh reality against Murtazaliev, who dominated from the start. Murtazaliev knocked Tszyu down 3 times in the second round, leaving the Australian barely able to make it to the bell and requiring a check from the doctor before being allowed to continue. It wasn't long before Tszyu hit the canvas again, and with the referee warning he would stop the fight after one more knockdown, Tszyu's corner intervened to prevent that from happening. Tim definitely underestimated Murtazaliev's power and paid the price. However, Tim congratulated his opponent, saying, "Congrats to my opponent for the tremendous performance. Yeah, we move on and regroup, and my team will be back again." I will be back. I'll still be in a big fight soon, and I have to find plenty of answers for myself. Of course, it will be very difficult for Tszyu to rebuild himself after the latest defeat, because many of the top fighters in the 154 PB division will reveal his flaws in the fight. Even the younger fighters like Jens Tess would take advantage of what Murtazaliev has revealed.
My dad told me from a young age, never give up. And if you shoot for the stars and you crash and burn on the way, just keep going. And I'm going to keep going and keep reaching for them stars. Thank you all.
Terence Crawford says Tszyu took Murtazaliev lightly, focused on other fighters he wanted to face. Crawford, who holds the WBA 154-pound title, says that Murtazaliev was just too strong for the former WBO champion Tszyu. Crawford wrote Tim thought he had an easy one, took this dude lightly and was worried about other fights. Tim thought he had already won the fight before he stepped inside the ring with backers. Before the fight, Tim was already looking into the future, planning on fighting bigger stars like Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., and thinking of Murtazaliev as a stepping stone. Tim said this before the fight, "I'm moving more toward Fondor beating Spence due to activity and height. I don't know what Spence is still doing there. A Crawford fight against me would be cracking. Styles make fights, and that one would be one hell of a show." I think Crawford did well against Israel. Madoff haters are going to always be like that. Murtazaliev is not a bum. People don't understand that this clearly shows that Tim's mindset regarding this fight wasn't the best. Underestimating a champion like Bakhram, who has an exceptional knockout ratio, is not the wisest thing to do. And Tim had to pay for this finally before the fight. Sean Porter highlighted the fierce competitiveness of the 154-pound division, stating that it is currently the toughest division in boxing. He stated that Tszyu is easily among the top 3 fighters in this category, reflecting his skill and potential. Porter stressed the depth of talent in this division, which offers a challenging landscape for any contender. By recognizing Tszyu's place in the top tier, he underscored the high stakes of Tszyu's future fight against Bakhram Murtazaliev.
Read on the landscape at 154. Where's Tim Tszyu sit in there?
Becoming the hottest division right now. 135 is still really, really hot. We've got some of the lighter weights. 26 is really hot. 68, 75. We've got some hot divisions right now. I feel like 154 might be the most competitive division in boxing right now. And I think Tim is still, even with the loss that he got to Fondora, we saw how the fight unfolded, why it unfolded, or possibly why it unfolded the way that it did. Tim's been in the top 3 at 154. I think 2023. I think that was the first time I come over there to Australia, ever since I've seen Tim.
However, now that the fight is done and dusted, Porter thinks that Tszyu came into this fight with an arrogant mindset, which led to his quick exit. Porter said they shouldn't have tried to fight fire with fire. That's his way. I get that, but I feel like moving and changing was the right thing to do. You put that on coaching as far as getting back to world competition. I'm not sure when you've been at the top. You're a step away from getting back there. There were many others that already deemed Tszyu as the winner. Danny Betts expressed faith in the Tszyu, but acknowledged the fight's difficulty. I think Murtazaliev fight all the way to the end of the bell. This is going to be a sweaty choice. Not that Tszyu is not going to win. I think Tszyu is going to win for sure, but I'm talking about making it to the final bell. I think Tszyu by choice is the play for me in this one. Paulie Malagi highlighted the significance of the fight, saying that despite the differences in profiles between Tszyu and Murtazaliev, the winner will greatly elevate their standing in the competitive 154-pound division. He said, "It's not a walkover, even though one may be more well-known than the other and one may have a bigger profile than the other, but it's a fight where the winner certainly raises their reputation tremendously. If it's Tszyu, he's back in the win column and back in the mix. And if it's Murtazaliev, you know what? Now you've got a different player in the 154 lb division, a weight class that is already rather full of talent in boxing." Anal or Globule pointed out the challenges Tszyu would face in the ring. He noted, "I can see after the last fight he's hungrier." Golub's assessment emphasized Tszyu's heightened determination following his defeat to Sebastian Fondor, suggesting that this match might reveal a more driven and focused version of him. He added, "Listen, it's not an easy opponent. The way to take his background is we watch his fights. The dangerous part of him is that he's really tough, and he's dangerous. He looks like he's hurt, and it's where the part he's always had heavy hands." Tim Tszyu's younger brother, Tszyu, provided a bold prediction regarding Bakhram Mortal's toughness. He stated he looks like he has a hard head. He's got a very thick skull, so Tim's got to punch holes into that skull. He's got to start learning how to punch walls. Nikita said that Bakhram has a style that makes him pretty straightforward to hit. He said that Tim would break him down and stop him in the latter part of the fight.
Bakhram, he's got a style that's pretty easy to hit. He comes forward a lot. I think Tim will kind of just break him down throughout the rounds, and I see just see him breaking him down over the end throughout the course of the fight and possibly stopping him by the end.
Unfortunately, this wasn't the case for Tim, as Murtazaliev didn't let him initiate his offense. Chris Algieri cautioned against underestimating Murtazaliev, highlighting the fighter's skill set despite his lack of mainstream fame. He stated, "I don't know how much this would be a huge upset. Murtazaliev is actually a very good fighter. He's got a great right hand, he's basic, he's physically strong, he's big, he's tall for the weight class. This is not an easy fight for Tszyu. It's not a walkover by any means. Just because we haven't heard of him or the fighting public hasn't heard of him doesn't mean the guy can't fight Al." Jerry emphasized the significance of the fight for Murtazaliev, noting this is a huge chance for Murtazaliev, but it's certainly not a walkover bout whatsoever. Tszyu got his hands full because Murtazaliev can fight. Peter Bottles said that Tim would face immense pressure considering that a loss now would put a halt to his promising future. He said Tszyu is the rival in this fight, and he needs to bring the goods. A loss here for Tszyu is not career-ending, but it's catastrophic and seriously damaging to his image if he loses 2 in a row. Tim comes into this fight with that load of pressure and expectation. Battle underscored the high stakes for Tszyu, emphasizing that a victory was important for him to regain his standing in the boxing community after his earlier loss. He turned to back from Murtazaliev and noted the potential threat he posed, saying that Murtazaliev, probably given the fact that he's maligned and unknown, can just go out there and throw the bombs that he throws. Battle warned that Murtazaliev's impressive record and the desperation that comes with being underestimated make him a significant threat, capable of delivering powerful punches even in the later rounds. Battle continued, "A desperate man is a dangerous man, and I think Murtazaliev, while underestimated, has a 22-0 record with 16 knockouts that shows he's got the power and can move that power into the later rounds, as he did against Ko in his last fight when he knocked him out in the 11th round battle." He mentioned that Tszyu must make a statement in this fight against Bakhram Murtazaliev to solidify his status in the 154 PB division. He emphasized that a victory was important for Tszyu to reaffirm his place among the top contenders and regain momentum after his previous loss. Winning this match would not only boost Tszyu's confidence, but also signal to others in the division that he is a real threat, making it a pivotal moment in his career.
Back-to-back losses in the fight game can be really hurtful. So particularly for a guy like Tim who wants to be the king of the 154 division, maybe ratings-wise to a lot of people he is, but in terms of belts he's not. So this is where Tim needs to make a statement in this fight and then over the next 12 months to become potentially a unified champion at super welterweight.
Considering that there were many who warned Tim to take Bakhram seriously, it's no wonder that Bakhram winning the fight is no fluke. After the fight, Bottled felt Tszyu was a little bit cocky. Early, he said, "I don't think he earned the right in this fight to control. He just thought he could walk him down. To me, when he fought Mendoza, he took his time with Mendoza. He was watchful early, and then in the 3rd or 4th round he started Ed to apply the pressure. But in this fight, he tried to almost bang early. This is a heartbreaking loss for Tim in the Tszyu." Ben Damon described Tszyu's loss as unthinkable and a monstrous upset, highlighting the shocking nature of the result against backer Murtazaliev. He said it has been an obliteration in Orlando. Tszyu down 4 times, and Murtazaliev retaining his world title in a one-sided beatdown. Keith Thurman discussed Timothy Tszyu's abilities, stressing his confidence when signing the contract. He remarked that there was nothing special about Tszyu, saying that Murtazaliev and his trainer claimed Tszyu was a cookie-cutter opponent made from Malaya. Thurman noted that they were able to make their point in the fight.
You know, I mean, look what the left hook did, man. You know, I was obviously confident when I signed the contract. I said there's nothing special in what Tszyu brings to the table. Earlier this week, because I was on the analytical side this evening, earlier this week, I got to interview all the fighters. And, you know, Bakhram clearly said that him and his trainer said that there's nothing special about Tszyu and that Tszyu is just cookie cutter made for Bakhram. And not only were they able to say that, but they were able to prove it, you know.
Thurman, working as part of the broadcast team for Premier Boxing Champions, offered a thorough analysis of Tim Tszyu's performance in his recent fight against Murtazaliev. He pointed out that Tszyu looked unable to make necessary adjustments after being hurt early in the match, instead of adapting his strategy. Tszyu continued to fight in a manner that eventually led to his downfall, as he was knocked down 4 times throughout the bout. Thurman emphasized that Murtazaliev team had fully prepared for the Tszyu by identifying his weaknesses and crafting a game plan that effectively exploited them. He noted that Murtazaliev's success with his left hook was a clear indication of this preparation. Thurman highlighted that Bakhram had previously claimed there was nothing special about Tszyu, and during the fight, he proved that statement to be true by dominating the former WBO 154 LB champion. He further added, "Look what the left hook did." Bam clearly said that there's nothing special about Tszyu, and he's cookie cutter made for Bakhram. Not only were they able to say that, but they were also able to prove it. Tszyu rushed back into the fight, which ultimately led to his downfall. Thurman's comments highlight a significant flaw in Tszyu's game plan, suggesting he should have used his jab to control the pace. Keith said you can't do the same thing over and over again. He was clearly hurt, and he tried to put himself right back into the fight instead of giving himself some time and strategically working behind the jab, trying to slow down the pace. It was almost like you could see Tim shaking on the ground. It was almost like we could see reverb from the punch. As a spectator, everything in his body is telling him to shut down. Thurman described how, despite being unsteady on his feet, Tszyu still attempted to throw an overhand right, which Thurman interprets as misguided confidence. He concluded he stood back up, and right before his coaches threw in the towel, he was on Bambi's legs. He couldn't stand up. He still had the audacity to come with an overhand right. He's not that scary, he's not that dangerous. The year of him coming over here and trying to prove that when you go from a little pool to a big pool, you run into some big fish. Caleb's plan acknowledged the unpredictability of boxing, noting the many highs and lows the sport brings. He recognized both fighters as great competitors and anticipated a tough fight, expressing no doubt about the challenges they would face in the ring.
Expected, but it's boxing, a lot of highs and lows, so.
Yeah, for sure. Crazy, right, Caleb? I don't think anybody gave Murtazaliev a win by knockout.
Maybe not in that fast and that early, so.
Yeah.
But both are great fighters, so I knew it was going to be a tough fight.
No doubt.
It's going to be difficult for Zeus to come back without his promoter matching him against weaker opposition. How long that would take is unknown. It might require that Zeus spend all of 2020-2025 facing lesser guys who can't punch and will fold under his power. He should also consider getting a new trainer who focuses on developing his boxing skills before putting him back in with someone good. It's important that Tszyu consider stepping back against a lower-level opponent for his next fight, rather than continuing to face talented top 5 level opposition like he's done in his last 2 fights. His defeats against Murtazaliev and Sebastian Fundora showed that he's not ready to mix it with the best fighters in the 154-pound division. Tszyu is 29, but he'd been fighting a lot of older guys and weak opposition to build his record. He's going to have to retool his game and focus on facing a bottom-tier fighter to work on becoming more of a boxer so that he doesn't continue to lose right now. A fight with fellow Australian boxer Michael Zaria is the best option for Tim Tszyu also chimed in on this matter and had a dig at Tszyu by stating that he's nothing like his father. Tszyu expresses strong opinions about Tszyu's performance and his public persona. He believes Tszyu has been living off hype and hasn't proven himself as a fighter. This sentiment reflects the doubts that some fans and fighters have about Tszyu's abilities compared to his father's legacy. Zaria said, "I can tell you exactly what happened. Tim Tszyu has been found out. I've been saying for a long time the guy isn't who everyone thinks he is, but Tszyu has a great hype team around him, and he believed it. He believed his own hype, and he got found out. As you can see now, he's nothing like his father. He came into this fight saying he was going to fight Canelo. Tim was fighting a genuine world champion, and he overlooked him." Zaria revealed that there were already discussions about this fight, suggesting that both fighters have a lot at stake moving forward. He further added, "My phone. It's been blowing up, people haven't stopped calling. Behind the scenes, there was already talk that if I won against Nikita Tszyu, then I got Tim, but there was also talk that if Tim got beat by Murtazaliev, I went straight to him, so our fight has to happen now. It will happen too." Impact title. Clash Tszyu was determined to show that he still belonged among boxing's elite. The defeat against Fondor was a tough pill to swallow, especially given the conditions that surrounded it. Tszyu suffered a severe cut from an accidental elbow in the second round, which greatly affected his performance.
Here is where the cut happened. And May have been the left elbow of Sebastian Fundora.
No, they didn't have it on my monitor. I looked
Right here, take a look.
Let's see.
He leans in. Watch the left elbow. There it is. The left elbow, the forearm of Fundora.
Yeah, basically Tszyu.
Despite this, he battled through the pain, showing tremendous heart and resilience, ultimately losing by a split decision before his fight with Murtazaliev. Tszyu reflected on his loss to Fundora, admitting that it was a difficult experience. He said, "I learned a lot that night. It wasn't just about the loss, it was about how I handled adversity. Fighting with a cut like that, I had to dig deep. It showed me what I was capable of." The aftermath of the Fundora fight was a period of introspection for Tszyu. He spent hours reviewing footage, analyzing his mistakes, and plotting his path forward. So, what are your thoughts about this? Should Crawford face Bakhram next? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.